Can everybody hear me? Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. I think Pastor Jerry wants to come out and say a few words before we start. If you would, everybody take their cell phones out and put it on silent for me. That way we're not interrupting with any ringing phones. I think my voice would carry without the mic, but.
Hey, good evening. Glad you guys could be here with us. Good to see some good neighbors, some friends. Got say it again? Chicken foot. That's what's in my domino. Some of the domino groups, different ones that are being here. Man, what a blessing to see you guys. It's always an honor to have you guys come in to join with us in settings like this. I know we gather here for a lot of different things, different meetings and whatnot, but always a joy, always a blessing to see you guys. But I know this also, settings like this sometimes can be a little challenging. Sometimes a lot of different things go on. But what we ask for is just kindness, respect one toward each other. That's what we try to practice here at Cornerstone Church. And so when we open up our building, we have the same belief, the same expectation when people walk into this. We know there might be differences. We understand all of that. But yet we want to just operate in love and kindness, respect one toward each other. And I would love just to begin this evening with just a moment of prayer if we can. Father, we just say thank you for the opportunity just to join together. Lord, we realize we're neighbors. God, we live close to each other. We are here to strengthen, to encourage one another. God, to do the best that we can to uplift, Lord, even if there might be differences, because we understand the reality of life. But yet we can still, as we've already demonstrated, we can be kind, we can be loving. We can be honoring of one toward each other, Lord. And so that's our desire, God, in all things, God, every single one of us, that you would direct us, that we peacefully work together, Lord, for the benefit of this community, because you've blessed us with a great community to be a part of, God, and we want to be as good of a benefit and a blessing one toward each other as we can. And I believe that will happen even in this setting this evening. Trusting that your will would be done. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pastor Jerry. Of course, I'll reiterate the fact, remember this is a church. Let's be kind and respectful. I'm sorry. Not used to a microphone. We have until 8:30 p.m. I don't know that it would take that long, but each candidate will come up here and introduce themselves. They have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. We'll go through all 5 people. Once that's done, the public will be invited to the microphone one at a time. You have 1 minute to ask a question, and the candidate has, whichever one answers it, has 3 minutes to answer it. You can ask one follow-up question for a minute, and the candidate then has 2 minutes to answer it, to try to move things along. We have a card system to tell people when their time's getting close. When you see a red card, if you're at the microphone, that means stop talking. Your time's up. We will start this evening off with Julie Gilmer, and we'll work through the table coming through here. So, Julie?
Hi, my name's Julie Gilmer. I've been on the RPMUD board for 8 years. I have been president for 6 years. I have my own CPA practice in Conroe. While I've been on the board, we've fostered a relationship with the East Plantation Utility District. We've worked together with the RPCIA to make this a blended community where everything gets done. We don't have any infighting. We don't have any restrictions on us. Since I've been president, the board has accomplished quite a few things infrastructure-wise. And personally, I worked with the fire chief to get the fire station open here in the MUD building. So.
My name's Doug Hernandez. I've been in River Plantation for 32 years this time. Before that, I was transferred from Houston, Texas to Vancouver, Canada to work on underwater vehicles. And this was back in 1980s. So that my background is with underwater vehicles, computer systems, infrastructure, oil companies, military, everything. I worked in Canada for a couple of years, then we came back and we moved back to the Houston area. We drove around Houston for 3 months trying to find a place and finally said, oh, hey, let's go look in River Plantation again. I'll tell you, we drove over that bridge and I went, wow, we're home, find a house. So I won't tell you exactly where I live, but we're the closest house to the golf course. So it doesn't help my golf game any. I want to say hi to any veterans here, if we have any veterans. I served in Vietnam with the legendary 11th Armored Cavalry, my commanding officer was George S. Patton III. His dad was General Patton from World War II. And I can say, that is where I learned my first real thing that stuck in my mind forever, and I use it today, is responsibility. I was a 19-year-old kid. I went through the Army really quick. In 9 months, I went from a private to a sergeant, and I went to Vietnam. 9 months later, they gave me 4 or 5 guys, and I was responsible for a tank and 4 or 5 guys with their lives, and I took it very seriously, and it changed my life. So I just can say I'm a really responsible guy. After that, I worked for Shell. I worked for Shell BP. Another one of my projects at BP was the BP oil spill. I worked on that for 5 years. I worked with the government. I was responsible for one action item that the government gave us after the oil spill, and it took me 3 years to close it out. It cost millions of dollars to incorporate. I had to travel around the world to train people, and I had probably a $50 million budget to get this done. So I understand budgets, technology, everything associated with the things that we would be dealing here with the MUD district. I was also the president and vice president, secretary, treasurer of Plantation Village. That was a little village of one little area here in RP that we ran that for 20 years before we assimilated into the RPCIA. So that's my background, and once we get going, I'll be able to answer any questions you have. Appreciate it.
Okay, I don't have a book, but my name's Kerry Porch, and my family moved here in 1970. My wife and I bought the house back in 1990. We've lived there ever since. It's like we've never left this area in Montgomery County. I grew up here. My family grew up here. My brothers and sisters, we all grew up here in River Plantation. You know, I've played golf here for many years. I've been involved with everything in River Plantation, the pools, the tennis courts, everything. And the house we live in it's our home, and we love River Plantation. My wife and I were talking about, doing this, and I said, you know what, why not? I've been here I'm 65, so I've been here since 10, so do the math, 55 years. So my background is I've always been an independent. I've owned my own companies, sold my own companies, invested in a lot of different companies, mainly in the pipeline construction and heavy equipment industry. All of our pipelines are all over the U.S., mainly out West Texas, Midland, New Mexico, Wyoming, So, yeah, I've laid a lot of pipe, steel pipe, water pipe, all different kinds of pipe we've done. Also, heavy construction. I've had a heavy equipment rental company with Caterpillar, John Deere, and we've had access to, on pipelines and equipment, around 300 people I've managed throughout the years. Like I said, I'm 65. I'm kind of slowing down now. My son has taken the reins and gone with it. So, but no, I am honored to be, a nominee for this board. Like I said, my wife and I moved back. We've lived in this house off and on for many, many years, and we just keep coming back here because it's home. It's home to us, And so, like I said, I'm honored to be here. I'll be honored. I'll be more than happy to answer anybody's questions when we do it. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Carl Stokochis. I've been in RP since 2014. Since I've been here, I've been a member. I've been a member of the Architectural Control Committee for the RPCIA, and I've been on the MUD board for the past 4 years. I could say that I was elected, but I ran, but nobody ran against me, so I won. In those 4 years, I learned a lot. Of course, there is a lot to learn about this. So I give you a quick. For instance, we have a meeting on Monday. Hope we get a big crowd like this out there. We generally don't, but that'd be great. But this weekend, I'll be going over all the paperwork that's required that we need to look at. We get a stack of accounting forms and everything. It takes me several hours every meeting to prepare for the meeting, plus the several hours of the meeting every month. It's part of the job. I enjoy doing it. I'm glad to be able to serve, and in the capacity, I've always been someone that likes to help others. In the past, I've been very involved with Special Olympics and other volunteer organizations, and this is the one I'm doing now. As far as my career, I just retired last year. Sold my air conditioning business. Had that for over 10 years, and that brought me right into retirement. So that gives me more time to spend on this and all the projects that are going around in my house that my wife keeps making the list even bigger and bigger. But before that, I worked in the oil business. I was vice president of marketing for a smaller company, got acquired by bigger companies. Before that, I worked for a high-tech company, and before that, I was a teacher. I had quite a long career in different jobs. So the bottom line is, I have a lot of experience in working with people, working with numbers, working with what it takes to work on a board like this. As far as individual efforts on the board, one that comes to my mind is last year we had to make a decision about videotaping in the meetings. The board was kind of leaning toward just not videotaping anymore for security reasons, because there were a lot of fraud being taken from the videos of different organizations, including ours. What I came up with was a solution where anyone can ask for access to the videos, but they are not just out there on the website, so I handle that every month as well. But that was part of my idea to make sure that we are as transparent as possible. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. My name's Tim Goodman. I'm the current vice president of the MUD. I've lived in River Plantation for 13 years, and I've been on the board for 8 years. 6 years as the vice president. I went to my first MUD meeting a little over 8 years ago, and I was shocked that the meeting lasted 15 minutes. And I thought it was amazing that they could get through everything in 15 minutes, but I realized that they really weren't going through much. And that's also how much work was really getting done in the district also, not much. So for many, many years, there was not a lot of maintenance and things being done in the district. And I'm happy to say that in the last few years after we passed the bond, we've been able to do a lot of work. I'm retired now. I spend a lot of time behind the scenes doing stuff, whether it's the pond, the fountain, the trees, the greenscape, things like that. So looking forward to continuing to serve on the board and answering any questions y'all have tonight.
All right, so I wanted to let you know this is obviously for the MUD board. There are 3 open positions, 5 candidates. So this isn't to talk about MUD business currently. This is you to get to know the candidates that are running for those positions. So when you come up here and ask your question, ask a specific candidate or the group, and they'll all give you an answer. So anybody have any questions about the format? Okay, who would like to ask a question? Don't everybody jump at once. Somebody's got to want to know something. What? Yes, ma'am. Let's make sure it's on.
Yes. How does the election work? Are all 5 names listed and you just pick 3? Is that the way it works, or?
I believe so. All 5 names will be on there for 3 positions. I could add that. Sure.
Okay. So the way it works, and I'm going to guess it, the order, because I'm not real sure about it. I think Doug Hernandez is number 1 on the ballot. Tim is number 2. I think Carl's 3, Carrie's 4, and I'm number 5 on the ballot. Okay? You can vote for up to 3 people. It will be held here at the church. Early voting does start Monday at the library. There is no early voting Tuesday, though. Tuesday's a holiday of some sort, San Jacinto Day or something. So there's a holiday Tuesday. So it's Monday, Wednesday through the following Thursday. Okay? So, and then May 2nd will be here, and you will come in, and it's just like a county election. It's on the ballot with anything else that there is for us to vote on. So, from 7 to 7 on May 2nd. Got to go to the microphone.
I guess this question will go to everybody. I'm concerned about the amount of money spent on the attorney's fees. Through 4 years, we've spent over $1 million, having 2 to 3 attorneys at every meeting. And it was mentioned that that amount included the bond attorney's fees. Well, that is not correct. Consultants involved in a bond issuance, such as underwriters, legal advisors, financial advisors, are typically paid through fees that are deducted from the bond proceeds at closing before funds are ever received by the MUD. So my concern is the amount of money, and that's really the one. I would like to know why Julie and Tim, if they could explain the justification for having all these attorneys, and then to hear from the rest of them.
Why not all 3 that are currently
Well, that's what
on
I'm
the board?
going to. And then to all the rest of you to see what you would do as far as attorneys' fees for this MUD. Well, I'm done.
Want me to start? Okay, first of all, during the bond election, we had 2 town hall meetings. Oh, sorry. During the bond election, we had 2 town hall meetings, and the attorneys were at both of those town hall meetings, so their fees were included in those legal fees. We also had other meetings that they were in for the bond issue. There were several meetings that they were there for that went into the legal fees. Okay, so there is approximately $200,000 to $250,000 of attorney's fees attending meetings, doing things like that, working up to the bond election, working with the engineers to get the bond, to figure out what we were going to do on the bond and how much we needed to issue the bonds for. Okay?
That's true. We do spend money on attorneys, but we're not the only district that spends money on attorneys. It's a variable thing, actually, and we don't have 3 attorneys. We haven't had 3 attorneys since last August. We do have 2 attorneys. One of them is for litigation, and pretty much we have litigation going on every month for something. So I don't have a problem with the attorneys that we have and to have them attending and spending the money that we do on them. I think it's worthwhile.
I questioned the attorneys several times about the costs that they are charging us, and they do. I go through their bills, and as it is my duty as a representative of the board, and they do. It does make sense. I can't say that they are overcharging us. Legal fees are expensive. Everything is expensive now, and the laws that we have to follow as a board are very detailed and extremely complex and extremely lengthy. And I'm not a lawyer, and I don't think anybody up here is a lawyer. And if we didn't have lawyers helping us through these issues, we could easily get ourselves into trouble, which I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that for our own personal liability, the board's liability, or for the district's liability. So I think it is very important to have legal representation for us as we go through and make the tough decisions that we do have to make at the meetings. I do ask them a lot of questions. I regularly ask them questions during the meetings. I think that's important, and it is a great comfort to have them at the meetings so that I can get a definite legal response when we are working through an issue.
Now, I've looked at, I listened to Julie's video. I think it was very, very comprehensive. I learned a lot through there. I went backwards and I took 5 years and looked at the math and came down. There was a lot of money for the lawyers associated with the bonds. And I understand the liabilities that we do have, but I just hear a lot of different stories from different people. 3 lawyers at a meeting, or 2 lawyers, or 1 lawyer. In my past, we have worked through 90% of our meetings, or at BP especially, where we had all the lawyers we could stand. We really didn't, let me rephrase this here. I think we know, as working the board, questions that we asked where we could get into trouble and we really don't know the answer. I think it's good if there was, instead of a lawyer, a paralegal, or we could have just table the answers, what we're trying to decide. Get a lawyer when you need a lawyer. I think that's worked in the past for a lot of companies because lawyers are expensive.
Yes, ma'am.
I happen to have the audits from 25 and 22, and they separate the bonds. In 2025, the bonds cost $243,000, and our attorney's fees for 2025 were $318,000. So the bond money, even for the attorneys, comes out of the bond issue. It does not come out of the monthly fees that we're paying for the attorneys, and the monthly fees are going to more than $1 million.
Anyone want to address it? I mean, lawyers are expensive. We know that. Anyone else? Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Would you like someone to hold that for you? Okay.
So, with the lawyers and you being on the board for the past 8 to 10 years, have y'all ever issued a Section 209 letter before you sent out a fine? Yeah, before you send out a fine.
I have it.
Bonds are not sent out.
I'm not talking
Bonds
about
are
bonds.
sold.
I'm talking about a Section 209 letter when you have an issue with one of the neighbors. Do you know what that is?
I do know what it is, but that's HOA. That's CIA.
No, you
Or the
actually,
MUD.
You still, it's a property code.
It is a property code. That's
Have
correct.
Have you ever been tested on the property codes?
It is a property code, but we have violations. We are a county entity. We are able to issue violation notices and fines. The HOA also does the property code. That is the HOA. We do the water code. We fall under the Texas Water Code.
Do you send one of those Section 209 letters every time you have an issue with a neighbor?
That's your second question. No, because we don't enforce HOA deed restrictions or anything like that. We follow Texas Water Code, and we issue violations. We issue letters and notify, just like you would go to court and have a judge to explain.
How come it costs money to get public information?
That's 3 questions.
Okay, I'll be back.
This is exactly why we have lawyers at the meetings, because things like this come up and we need to know what is required. So the fines that are issued if someone breaks the rules at the park or something like that, where where it does come down to the point where we need to issue a fine, the procedure is relegated by the lawyers so that we do not have any issues going forward. In that follow. So I'm not qualified to know exactly what steps need to be taken. That's why we hire lawyers to do that.
Hi, my name is Bernadette. I like what Doug Hernandez proposes, should he be elected to be on the board, about looking into the quantity of attorneys, paralegal, or knowing when to have an attorney coming in. I like that idea. I'd like for each of you to tell me, would you support a decision like that? And those that are on the board right now, have you all talked about that thought, that method, to help save us some money in here? Thank you. And I want to thank you all for the job that you have done as a MUD board representing us too. Thank you.
I'm happy, as I said, I'm happy with the attorney situation that we have now. A paralegal is a paralegal because they're not an attorney. They're not qualified fully to be an attorney. They may know a lot of the laws, but they're not licensed to be an attorney. So I'm happy with the attorney situation that we have. I would certainly be willing to listen, but I'm happy with what we've got.
I'll talk quickly about efficiency. I'll give you an example right now. For our IT person that we use, he made a suggestion that we upgrade our network equipment because we're having a little difficulty with the videos that we've installed. He sent me a proposal on Friday. Well, Friday's too late to get it in on the agenda, so we're going to have to wait till next month before we address that. That's how slow things move in a government agency. If we use paralegals and then we have to ask the questions of the paralegal and the paralegal has to get back to us for a legal response, now we're going to move things even slower. So for efficiency standpoint, I think it's worthwhile to have the lawyer at the meeting for us to answer the questions so that we can move forward and be a little bit more efficient, as efficient as we can be with the requirements that we have.
Well, one thing I do know is what he was saying a while ago. Attorneys are expensive. Trust me, in my line of work, in my industry, I mean, I could pick up the phone and I'll tell my attorney, shut up and listen to me, because I know once I open my mouth, you're going to start charging me. And that's what happens. I mean, they're just expensive today. I mean, paralegals are expensive, attorneys are expensive. I mean, there's a whole office full of them down there that I deal with, and I'll be honest with you, I don't care for them, because I mean, I can open up my mouth and I can say hello and it costs me $100. That's just the way that's the norm of it today. But if I am elected on this board, I'm all about transparency. It's going to take time to look at everything and to see how things do work. So that's what I think.
Just a quick follow-up. I think we need to be more aware of our usage for attorneys and their cost. Listening to the previous person that just talked about the regulations there, if we were at a meeting, and we would have someone taking notes, that'd be documented. If it was a paralegal, they'd get back to their lawyer. They'd write one document. It's closed out, and it's closed out forever. You refer to that document all the time. But overall, I just think we need to be more aware of our time with lawyers. Thanks.
We're limited to one per person. But it's up to you guys if you would like another question from her.
If y'all were elected to the board, would you care to knock off one or two attorneys and just go with one? Or would that even be possible with what y'all dealt with before? Just anybody that's been on the board or heard about it, or?
Well, we have two attorneys that attend our meetings. If we were to knock one off, let's say we knock off our litigation attorney, and we have an issue that comes up during the meeting or it was on the agenda for litigation. If he's not there, then our other attorney is not a litigation specialist. He's a MUD specialist. He knows a lot about MUD districts and how the MUD laws affect us, the board, and you, the homeowners. So if we were to do away with one of them, we're losing one of our specialties. You can have a pitcher and a catcher, but you can't do away with both or one. You got to, as far as I'm concerned, you need to have both. I look at it as the parachute rule, okay? I'd rather have a parachute and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Okay, my name is Betty Brown. I'm wanting to ask the two new candidates for it. You speak a lot about transparency. I kind of hate that word. What is that? Oh, am I talking in? Okay, so you speak a lot about transparency in your profiles that you just posted on social media, and I hate that word because it seems like politicians always use the word transparency. But I wanted to find out, first of all, how many meetings have you gone to, and have you not seen transparency with this board? And if elected, what would you do to make it more transparent?
Well, I personally have not been to a board meeting, and when I say transparency, I mean, you got to look at everything and be open, because this is for our community, the people that live in this community. That's what I'm talking about, is being an open book. I mean, like I said, Doug and I, we don't know. I mean, we're the candidates here, so we really can't tell you moving forward, if we get elected, what's going on until we sit down and as a team and work together and figure all this out, moving forward. I mean, ever since I threw my hat in the ring here, I've noticed where a lot of banter going back and forth about this board and stuff like that, well, you really can't sit there and say, well, he's right, she's wrong, she's right, he's wrong. You know, you got to look at, have an open book here and say, okay, where are we at and where do we go from here? That's what I mean by transparency. Where are we at right now, and how can we go forward making it better from this day forward?
I think transparency works two ways. It seems like everybody that has a problem with the mud board, it's their problem. They don't get answers. They're upset, and it starts this banter back and forth, and it just keeps going on and on and on. I don't think that's the way to settle things. You need to have an open dialogue, and the only way to do that is to try to get more people to meetings. If you have these problems, don't try to settle it in 2 minutes at a board meeting and say, bam, that's it. You know, it may take a little while, but the people got to talk about it. And if you can talk about it and be honest about it, it should be better.
All right. Anyone else?
Okay, so I've got, I guess, a different thought process here. I'm one of the younger homeowners, and so frankly, I'm a little concerned because we got a lot of fixed income, and so everybody's concerned about your bond portions. We've pulled $11 million of the 22. What is our game plan after this? Because it seems like we get people on the board and then they're here for years. So how do we plan to continue to combat the areas that are not problems today, but may be problems tomorrow as the rest of our infrastructure around us changes?
I'll start. So the board election happened before I was on the board, but I certainly fully supported it. If you look at the sign that comes into RP, it says 1967. That means we're just about 60 years into the subdivision. The infrastructure is falling apart. That's why we had to have the board election, and we did, and we got the $20 million with about $10 million left over to spend. The way that we're handling that, your question, very good question, is we go through step by step, evaluating and then prioritizing. So the evaluation takes place. We sent cameras down through pretty much the entire sewer system to find out where the major breaks are, and taking care of the big deals first. Make sure that the most damaging fixes are taken care of first. Then we work our way back, and as things come up, or as we keep going down to find lesser and lesser problems. It's where is that rest of that $10 million going to go? It will go as we prioritize. There are some things on the list that we have that are discussed almost every meeting with the engineer of what we're going to do. And then what do we do when that money runs out? Then it's going to be time for another bond election. But I don't see that for at least five or more years happening after this. So right now we do the best we can with what we have, and prioritize as best we can.
Okay, so right now we're playing kind of like whack-a-mole. We're just trying to fix things as they come up because that's all we can do. We came into a bad situation. Just like your house, you have to maintain it. You can't just go for 40 years and then all of a sudden, oh, something went wrong. Now I got to fix it. You have to maintain it, and that's what we're doing. We have a project list for the next 5 years for the bonds. Hopefully, that at that point will get us caught up so that we are not playing whack-a-mole. We're actually just maintaining things, and maybe we won't have to have another bond issue. I would love not to have another bond issue. We all live here. We all have to pay for those. But just like your house, I don't know how old your house is, but I had to have all of my plumbing from inside my house out to the storm sewer replaced. That's a $50,000 project just to have everything under your house taken out and replaced. But my house is 60 years old. I had to. So, you know, if you don't maintain it and you don't keep up with it, this is where you're going to be. And if we stop and don't pick up and don't continue, we're going to be right back in the same place we were in 5 years ago, playing whack-a-mole, just trying to fix problems. So,
Yeah, when the bond got passed, one of the first things we did was put together a wish list of things that needed to be done. And we ended up with a 10-year capital improvement program. So we've got 10 years of projects on the books, and we've done 4 so far. So we've still got 6 years of projects down the road that are accounted for, and we've got the money for them. You just can't do them all overnight. It takes time to get these things done. I know 2 years ago we installed new 48-inch drainage that went across Charleston and went across RP Drive. And that was big, and when they took out the old drainage, it was really sad to see how ugly it was. The damage that it had endured over 60 years. So it takes a while.
So, I mean, I'm not so much as concerned about the bond. I mean, I'm comfortable paying with it. I kind of understand y'all's point about the maintenance. I guess my concern is we mentioned there may be a need for another one. Are we concerned about maybe that not being voted due to the kind of the group of folks that live here because everybody's been here for so long? Just like that's a concern for me and for potential property values because we don't have a lot of young blood in the neighborhood.
I totally agree with you. And I see it the other way. I see it as the older people want to maintain their homes, but they are on a fixed income. I totally agree. I'm not so sure the younger people see that they have to maintain it because they haven't been homeowners for that long. Do I see us not passing? I have no idea. I mean, the first time we had the bond election, it didn't pass. I'm not going to say where that came from, but anyway, it did not pass the first time. Do I think it would not pass again? I have no idea. I mean, I would hope if it was needed, it would pass because you're right, the resale value of your home. If the infrastructure isn't there, if the infrastructure isn't maintained, nobody's going to buy your house. You know, that's why I had to have all the plumbing and everything in my house redone underneath it because nobody's going to buy my house if the sewer's backing up every week. You know, it's maintenance. It's just something you have to do. So, and hopefully, I mean, I hope we don't have to have another bond anytime soon. But if something happened and we did, you know, I mean, I would hope it would pass because it would be necessary.
Got kind of a pivot question on that. So, do we have a backup plan to this? Because if we put a lot of new folks on the board and we run out of money, or I know like traditionally property taxes can go up a certain percentage every month. I know everybody doesn't want their water bill to go up some more, but I'd rather you guys raise rates kind of periodically as needed to make sure that we have a buffer for extra fees or other things rather than having to come back to them because that's easier to prepare for than it is to ask these fixed income folks to pay more taxes. I don't care. I'm not really, I guess, more so the new folks, but I would like your thoughts as well.
Oh, the new folks?
I think that it's a good thing that they have a plan. 10-year plan's awesome. These plans need to get reevaluated all the time and kept up to make sure that new ones don't get creeped up into the existing plans. They need to be, I think the whole community needs to be aware of what we're doing, maybe more communications. I don't know what all the bonds are for. I don't know where the status of these 6 projects are. Are they complete? What's it done? Because we don't see any of that stuff. All I know is that I talked to someone ask me where I live at. Oh yeah, you live in River Plantation, it floods. I mean, that's common. So we need to keep reevaluating our needs, audit, continue, so we don't have the risk of something else coming up, like all the sinkholes now. We have sinkholes coming on. I know. It's one of those things we got to do. Just keep reevaluating what we have, continue to audit, continue to do maintenance and upkeep. Got to do all those things. A lot of things involved. Got to get rid of the risk.
I think it's important to understand how the bonds work. I know you're worried about getting hit with a higher bill later rather than now.
I'm less concerned about the bill later.
Yeah.
I'm more so concerned about that we don't have a backup plan, because we didn't have a backup plan and we didn't do anything, and that's how we got into this mess in the first place. So if y'all don't have a backup plan, when the other 10 million runs out, we're going to be coming to the fixed income folks saying, hey, we need more money, your taxes are going up, and the answer is likely going to be no, because frankly they can't do it or they're going to lose their home. In some cases it can be that serious. That's I would like to hear that somebody has some thought around a secondary plan. But I do like Doug, Mr. Hernandez's point about getting us to know what those 10-year plans are and where we're at on that list, because I don't know what those are or where we're at.
And they are reviewed regularly, I assure you. The engineers keep a plan for us, and it's color-coded chart, it's very nice, but we do have a plan going forward to hit what's most pertinent, most urgent, and work our way down to this urgent. But of course, we always have to have a contingency for things that pop up or drop down like a sinkhole.
As far as contingencies and backup plan, the state requires us to have a certain amount of funds backing us up, not necessarily bond money, just money in the bank. We have to have a certain amount of money in the bank just to exist, and we're beyond where we need to be as a safety level. So we're okay as far as that goes.
Talked about raising the rates, and I know I'm taking your question, so I'm asking your question. We had an issue earlier this year where we found out that the operator had not implemented the new rates, okay? We as a board voted not to go back 18 months and assess you those new rates. We thought it was a good thing that we said, hey, just to start assessing the new rates now. Apparently that's not the case, because apparently some people have an issue that we should have gone back 18 months and assessed those rates. I thought it was a good thing for the neighborhood that we didn't, and we had enough money because we had gotten a TACA settlement to put into our operating budget. But, you know, you got to look at that as, was it a good thing or was it a bad thing? I thought it was very good that we just implemented it and went forward. Apparently there's some allegations that it's not good, so.
Anyone that has not asked a question yet that would like to? Yes, sir. Sorry? I'm sorry? McElroy?
I have a question regarding the bond. As I understand, the election approved $15 million. I heard Carl mention $20 million, and I heard $10 million more, and I know the first series was for $7 million. So how did we come up with 20? Is it 15 or 20? And if it's 20, how did we get the 5 additional without an election?
There was 2 bonds that were passed. One was for $15 million, and that was for sewage, drainage, and water. And there was one for $2 million for park purchase for the green space.
I understand that. Yes.
So that's the 2 bonds that were passed.
I heard $20 million.
Somebody may have misspoke, but it's not. We don't have a $20 million bond on us.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
The next question had to do with the Series 2. I know it's not on our property tax bill yet. Will be next year. How much will that be? What's the additional rate? I know when you got the bond, you knew how much you were going to
Correct.
incrementally
We can only
change the
raise it
tax rate.
a certain amount. It can only be raised a certain amount. We actually lowered the rate for the bond this year.
I saw that, yeah,
Okay.
2 cents.
So we are trying fiscally to maintain we've got investments where we're making 4 to 5%, which we've got a couple of $1 million, about 1.7 in an investment that's earning a higher rate of interest. We're hoping not to have to raise the rate.
Okay. I was just wondering how you're going to cover the expense of the additional $8 million
We're trying
that's
not
associated with Series 2.
Correct. We're trying not to raise
I
the
didn't
tax
attend the
rate.
meeting when your financial person gave the presentation, the bond,
What?
so that's where.
I didn't hear what you said.
In other words, you have the person who issues the bond, coordinates it with you. He's got all the numbers of how much it's going to cost us. And I didn't attend that meeting, but I know there was presented. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
The next thing too, I guess, has to do with maybe anybody. If you look back at the time before this board, go ahead. Okay, I'll be back.
Right, so that March 16th meeting where you said that you charged us $2,500, that was for what? $500 an hour. That's 7 hours of going through my Facebook posts, going through what everybody else commented on, and we're never going to get that $2,500 back. How many more times does that happen? Every weekend, every day, every hour? Because it adds up to millions of dollars at the end of every year.
Okay,
so I would think when you have all these bonds going out and you have so much infrastructure going down, that you wouldn't waste one dime on frivolous actions. What do you plan on doing differently if you are still on the board?
Absolutely nothing differently.
I appreciate you saying that. You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm real quick on this one. Mine's for the residents up in Mosswood. Are you guys going to forget about us again? I mean, seriously, we're like just swept under the rug all the time up there. You take the money and run, and we just get swept under the rug. Help us, Julie.
Okay, I don't know what you're looking for us to do. You get as much maintenance as we do. You provide 5% of our revenue in Mosswood. I've done a spreadsheet. I went house to house.
I have no idea.
You provide 5% of our revenue. We maintain your subdivision the same way we do ours. It's the same district. Your projects right now, the Mosswood ditch, is starting Monday. Okay? They've actually been out there to get the pre-work done, and the real work is starting Monday on redoing that ditch. I don't know what else do you want?
I don't know. What else do we need up there?
I don't know. You get the same thing everybody else does. I don't know.
I don't know. What else do we need?
I mean, the projects are. And as we see the need, that's how we work them. We don't just say, oh, Mosswood's going to get this because we've neglected them. It's where does the work need to be done? And that's how we determine what we do and where we do it.
Okay. As long as we know where it goes and everybody else knows where it goes, that's all we need to know. Where it goes and everybody knows where it goes, that's all we need to know. That's all.
Yeah, there's no difference between a job in Mosswood than a job in RP, because, like Julie said, it's all the same mud district. In fact, if Mosswood resident has a problem with their water, which happened recently, they said our water looks cloudy or smells funny. We had the operators go out there that day or the next day, take care of it, just like whether they're an RP or Mosswood, doesn't make any difference. And the evaluation of the infrastructure has been done in Mosswood as it's been done in RP as well.
Just one quick thing. The main meeting for this meeting, I thought, was to meet the candidates and get their ideas and quotes on things, of what we need. Some of this other stuff we need to cover at a regular meeting, which needs to be broadcasted and told well in advance, by the way, to the board here now. The only thing is I request that we find out what they can do for us, not what they did. That's all I got.